Is indeed going to federal prison. Again, their license plate 75468 Robert 1, and the state is group stalking by helicopter. As you are looking at what I'm looking at, this is what the state is looking at on my phone, and begin sounding helicopter activity in the unnatural environment, which is directly incriminating Jose and Sons, who are pacing around with landscaping tools, pacing around an engineered light, while a light source, which is not possibly the sun, creating both light activity and audible activity, while they're also engaging in what is corporate invasion of privacy and a sex offense in the workplace with knowledge of the fact that they are being documented. That's an impermissible threat posed by the government, which Jose and Sons represent, while they are indeed in the specific environment stalking with the state. That's sounding helicopter at what is 11:54 a.m. because they are witnessing what I am pulling up on my phone right now. What I'm pulling up on my phone right now, again, while the state that is already a documented terrorist, this is the prosecution of the terrorists that are the people of the state. And this is speaking to the specific environment that I just spoke to in my previous video. Again, it's 11:55, and I will go ahead and note what is the entity group stalking by helicopter, repeatedly doing so in the specific environment while engaging in real-time surveillance and ongoing group stalking and documentation, monitoring of the target individual, the American citizens documentation, which again is grounds for what is going to be a lot of people affiliated with that terrorist organization. The LAPD are going to federal prison, and you have the people of the state, including this whole property that's going to federal prison. Jose and Sons is an illegitimate company. It's a third party, and they are acting in concert with that entity that provides evidence against them as they represent the state that is engaging in what is an act of terrorism, intimidation, harassment as an entity, and demonstrating demon possession while they stalk with audible activity, crossing path in the method of using a helicopter while engaging in what is both monitoring you, but also the intent to threaten you while monitoring, because they know that you're enforcing your rights and documenting the fact that they're psychotic, group stalking sex offenders and terrorists. That's exactly why the entity is flying over helicopter right now. So Jose and Sons, as you see in Engineer Light, is not engaging in any gardening or landscaping. They're engaged in terrorism. These are psychopaths that want to hide under the malicious guise of engaging in some sort of service provision in the specific environment, while they're demons that are stalking with the activity that is created by virtue of their holding landscaping tools. And that's a very demented mind state to engage in that level of malice, to engage in what is absolutely inexplicable on its face. Why are you stalking? And you're clearly stalking. No one is fooled by the activity that's underway in the specific environment, while the state is clearly established as the terrorist. You are indeed engaging in terrorism, and it's in the workplace, and Speaker Companies is going to pay me for that, and so is Jose and Sons. It is, again, in concert, while, again, this is what I note, the ongoing context, which is always relevant to enhancement to federal charges and sentencing of that entity. The entity engaging in what are acts of terrorism, which is what is literally the monitoring spirits, are stalking you not only where you physically remain or where you go, but also with the maintenance of noise and the demonic light, as I've shown you many iterations of stalking with light activity, and what engineer light, and what that which isn't even the sun, the light source, remains over me. So this is what I'm reviewing on my phone. As I do so, the entity engages in what is the provision of evidence against itself and the whole state, stalking in a helicopter. 11:54. While and this is the this is ongoing real time witnessing what I'm documenting as I document it. Which is serving to prosecute the people, because, like I said, the state of California is already prosecuted and established as a terrorist. So at this point, you're literally providing to the federal prosecution, to the federal government, the evidence that the people of the state are necessarily group stalking with you, which, by the way, the prosecutor doesn't need that help, because I've captured the terrorist stalking amongst engineered light that will never fly off of your car and onto surfaces, flashing like there's a photo shoot on my ceiling in my bedroom under that which is not even the sun that's still at this property after 5 p.m. After 6 p.m. is what I captured yesterday. Yesterday was June 9th, 2024. Okay, none of that shared with what I'm capturing on that same day in 2022, while the so-called sun, that's not possibly the sun that would be visible through my bedroom window in LA and over my head in zenith in the same way it is right now in the morning on the next day, June 10th, 2024, while I am in Los Angeles, nowhere near Route 83, going north or south on Euclid Avenue to Chino or to Upland. Never will that ever coexist. You're understanding the criminal system and the evidence that the state provides against itself, while it's still to this day monitors documentation which is an impermissible threat. Impermissible threat are going to be key words, very detrimental words in federal court, which is adding on years to time in federal prison. The entity is doing so while I am reviewing evidence showing the impossible maintenance of a light source, which is not the sun, while demons are pacing all around me holding landscaping tools, engaging in terrorism, while literally the terrorist flies over my head in a helicopter. That unfathomable level of provision of evidence against yourself is speaking to what is the detriment of the people of the state, who are showing and exhibiting impunity, malice, also a demented mind state. Your mind state is necessarily brought into question when you are engaging in what is the state's criminal system, and then doing so with knowledge of the fact that you are being exposed and documented, and your criminal conduct with regards to demonic stalking without audible activity, demonic stalking with engineer light moving across surfaces. All of this is relevant to the mental examinations, to the placement in mental facilities, to what is the removal from areas in society where the demon-possessed population that are engaging in terrorism in the U.S., that they're going to be removed from them. They're going to be plucked out, permanently removed, including those that aren't even natural born citizens, which Jose and Sons represent. They're going to federal prison. You're going to be punished. And then the additional part of your punishment, when you aren't even born here, you're not even welcome, engaging in this un-American criminal conduct, which is underway by a government that's betraying its own citizens, you're going to be deported and you will never come back. So the entity is engaging in this conduct while reviewing evidence of this specific environment. All right. And that's nothing but other audible activity. And the entity is going to federal prison for that. Everybody that lives in Alvarado Gardens is going to be prosecuted for the impunity that the people of the state exhibit while they call from fake numbers, while the state calls from a number, while the entity and speaker companies will call, the people of the state are going to federal prison for that. And so is Jose and Sons. While reviewing evidence of the specific environment on my phone, which is again relevant to the demonic behavioral pattern, and it's also revealing what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. The ongoing desire to terrorize someone and threaten their life while they enforce their constitutional human rights to not be subject to the demonic ploys of a corrupt government that wants to keep you under surveillance. That is the grounds of disbanding. That is the grounds of federal prison. It's the grounds of uprooting corrupt courthouses and sheriff's departments, removing them, wiping them out altogether, and removing the minor children that are in the custody of this population, and not, by the way, handing them back into the hands of the state, which is what CPS represents. It's the same corrupt entity, like I spoke out about at length yesterday, which was June 9, 2024. They're in the same corrupt courthouses, in the same specific environment, engaging in the same facilitation, and the minor children are still going to be subject to the same abuse by the government that's engaging and teaching terrorism in this country, like we're some third world country. Okay, so I'm just pointing out all the ways in which what is necessary with regard to blowing the whistle to the federal government, and what is necessary. The government, every level of government is corrupt, and that's what the P.O.C. shows. It's every level of government, local, state. It is every level, okay? Including, by the way, I documented the California Appellate Court, what the California Appellate Court, the Riverside District, that they're providing a template for what the court system throughout California and what at every level of government is not exempt, by the way. So just want to speak to that, and the ability to capture the P.O.C., the state's criminal system. It is informing you. I am speaking to what the entire state of California is engaging in. It is not limited to just that courthouse, just that county, or just this area in California. Okay. And you know that while I'm capturing, for example, what the light activity is showing you about the population, the criminal conduct of that entity is showing you about the entirety of the state. Okay. So just want to give that context. What I'm showing on my phone, which is what the entity that is both scared, they're fearful, but they're not fearful enough such that the federal government needs to pound on the state with an intense prosecution, a federal prosecution, and the state includes the people of the state. So what I was documenting on same time of year analysis, I'm literally at the same property. This is what I was speaking to. This is captured today at 11:16 in the morning, and I am looking outside of my leasing office window. You can see this light source. It's right above my head. Oops, sorry. It's right above my head, and hold on. I am capturing. Hold on, my apologies. Let me get out of this. Yeah, 11:16 in the morning. The light source is right above my head. That's what I wanted you to see. I'm looking out of my leasing office window. And again, this is 11:16 in the morning. On May 30th, just to give you a reminder about what I've already captured, May 30th, 2024, while I am standing at my same leasing office, just so you can see I'm standing outside of the front door of my leasing office. This you would be able to see because of the location. The entity is at this time of day, keeping it above this trees. This is what I use to juxtapose the light source that remains on this property after 5 p.m. If you reference my documentation that I already did, I've already shown this. This is the light source which is captured outside of my leasing office at 9 o'clock in the morning on May 3rd, 2024. And it is indeed the sun. This is, by the way, there's no other explanation for what is this illumination of light. It is supposed to be, it's a demonic imitation of the natural environment. It's not the sun, because the sun is not going to be at the same property as I'm showing you at this same location in front of my office after 5 p.m. And you also know that because where the entity is stalking in helicopters is in the specific environment. Yes, you are able to identify the totality of the system by engagement or presence of one of the hallmarks. Where one is, they're all present. All the elements are present. Yes, you are able to identify it because one is not there without the other. And so by virtue of literally this heavy stalking by that terrorist organization in helicopters, it is letting you know that it is the specific environment. And so this is what I'm capturing at 9. You could see it through what I use as an identifier, these trees right here outside of my office. At 11, you're looking at, again, 2 hours, just duration of time. That's not the sun. That would be in this position, by the way, at 2 hours with regard to as I'm looking outside of my leasing office. And I have more than that because there's a whole body of evidence the sun would never at any point in the day, based on what the entity did at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, at the Upland Public Library, at the Ovid Family Community Library, as I specifically documented this criminal system on an ongoing basis, and the entity is tethered to that evidence because there is no natural environment where the sun is over the roof of the Ovid Family Community Library, and as I stay at that same address, I'm capturing what anyone else is going to say. Oh yeah, that's the sun. Oh well, if that's the sun, how is it still at this same address over my head at 6 o'clock in the evening? No, that is not the sun. And capturing the impossible remains relevant evidence, as I am now in a different location, and I'm showing you what is the specific environment where demons are pacing all around, using landscaping tools, calling the office phone, and pacing in and out of the parking lot, while they are aware of the fact that their criminal activity, which is very terrorizing and psychotic because they're practicing the demonic, and they're doing so in a manner that's going to wind them up in a federal prosecution because it is a crime. All right. They're doing so in concert with the state. So at this location, this is what I was reviewing on my phone. And this is today. At the top, this is today. And I was speaking to the fact that it was outside of my leasing office. This is 11:16. And as I continuously document, at 11:16 in the morning, I capture what is the light source directly over the top of my head, while the entity flies directly over the top of my head pursuant to the same pattern. This is a demon that will look down at you, will not talk to you, keep their back to you. Oh, I'm busy. I'm just spraying the bushels. I'm not. This is called light activity, relevant positioning, while the other demon is using a leaf blower. All elements of monitoring are present, and the state is literally flying over my head. Literally flying over my head, pursuant to the pattern of what is doing so, an act of terrorism, while you know you're being documented. And who's being documented? These demons here. As I document the people, the entity engages in an act of terrorism, stalking, and plain where you can see them and hear them in the specific environment where you're looking at the so-called sun, as I remain at this same position, the same address, the same location, as I've literally thoroughly captured the specific environment where that's not the sun, that's not the natural environment, that's still at the same location, as I literally stand at the same front door after 5 p.m. where you see malicious actors, demons, going under the exercise of fictitious authority and showing the fact that the company is a third party and every employee is a demon-possessed group stalking minion acting pursuant to the state's criminal system, such as Maria Solis Alvarez, where the light source is literally just on the opposite side of my person at that same doorway, the same entryway at my office after 5 p.m. While this same entity that's stalking in helicopter is indeed doing the same thing, while that light source, which is not possibly the sun, remains in alignment to me at the same property, to the exclusion that it's ever going to be over the Ovid Family Community Library. But I've already documented that. That remains on the record. And the entity is indeed engaged in what is stalking. Conclusive. That is a legal conclusion in the specific environment. While they necessarily maintain awareness of what you are documenting regarding enforcement of your constitutional rights to be free from a demon-possessed and corrupt government that is keeping you under surveillance. in concert with those that are in relevant position to them, showing their mental illness, the fact that they're psychotic and engaging in what is clear criminal activity of a demonic nature, and looking down, looking to the left and the right, clearing out the backseat of your car, driving in and out of the parking lot, clearing out or picking up a child, holding a child. None of this is, or delivering a package for that matter, is any deviation from that same specific environment and criminal system. Only a psychopath would be so deluded. Only a psychopath. You have a whole population of them. This is the same exact criminal activity that I'm documenting in Ontario, California, San Bernardino, California, Upland, California, and you are looking at what is no difference while a demon keeps her head down, focusing on what is pesticides. It's called relevant positioning light activity. They're walking in engineered light while the light source is over me. And that's how you determine a group stalker, not what that group stalker wants you to focus on, the fact that they're holding a baby or the fact that they are engaging in some sort of duty, which is creating light and audible activity, while literally the government is providing evidence against them, speaking to the truth of what they are doing, stalking with the state. Stalking, clear stalking. Okay, so this is what I'm documenting at 11:22, and what I'm pointing out is the fact that the light source is directly over my head as I stand at the entrance of my office, and as I begin capturing video of Jose and Sons, who was group stalking while the light source was covered up. The entity, it has the light source that's visible outside of the back of my office, the window. As I walk around, you'll see the light source remain over my head. That's what you're always looking at, stalking with a light source. But as I remain in position, and one position, the light source is seen outside of the window. And this is abrupt movement is what I describe it as, outside of the conformity of where the entity is doing as of late. But what is the pattern? First of all, it's not even the sun. It's not the natural environment. And if you take a big picture analysis, what you will see in February of 2024, March, what the entity is doing engages in a real-time adjustment. The light sources, as I documented, it was adjacent to building 1810. Pay attention to where the entity was maintaining the light source. The more I critique this asininity with that which is clearly not even the sun, the entity engages in an ongoing adjustment, which is never making the unnatural environment natural or possible. It's never making impossible light in the same way natural light activity or sunlight or possible for it to ever naturally occur. None of that ever happens. This is the deluded and demon possessed and wildly corrupt and equally desperate. That desperation by a corrupt government is a threat to your life. That desperation is a threat to your life. Okay, the entity is engaged in the maintenance of this light source, and that's what I was speaking to. As this is 11:16, and so you have what is 11:34. This abrupt movement from the leasing office window while it's in this position outside of my front door. I'm not, so let me show you on video. This is what I'm capturing, 11:39. It's not visible outside of the leasing office window outside of the back. What the entity is typically doing during 11 o'clock hour, it's directly over the top of my head, which is what you see here. As I began capturing video based on where I'm looking, the stalker, which you are witnessing the stalker through the unnatural environment, not the passive aggressive and psychotic behavior of demons who do not want to appear like they're stalking. But I'm giving you even more context. They look exactly like what they are and what they are doing because you're aware of the environment and you're aware of their behavior and their targeting behavior. What they do and where they do it is based on where the targeted individual is in the unnatural environment. Stalking is not recognized by one person that's following you around. Stalking is recognized by the population that is following you around in the unnatural environment, facilitating that group presence. Not the sun, not sunlight. Also, not a coincidence that ongoing noise follows your every physical movement and operation of a communication device. And that entity that is terrorizing you in that way further continues that while failing to stop justice. The wheels of justice are not being stopped. It is accelerating and it is intensifying that federal prosecution for terrorism in the United States, while the entity engages in things such as flying over my head and helicopters in the unnatural environment, while I am capturing evidence of the fact that the entity is indeed group stalking, the entity being the people of the state. This is concerted conduct and it's demonic pacing. The entity is flying over by helicopter in this direction, and this demon is on the ground walking toward me. This is demonic pacing. All you're doing is paying attention to the patterns. He's walking toward me. This is demonic pacing while the helicopter flies in the opposite direction. This is what they're doing in traffic. This is what the UPS was doing with the people that stayed in the parking lot. This is what Jose and Sons was doing while the entity was stalking in a helicopter at a great distance. All they're doing is the demon-possessed are engaging in psychotic pacing. And you're supposed to be ignorant about the light activity. You're supposed to be ignorant about the light source that's not the sun. And you're supposed to be ignorant about how relevant it is where they are located and the direction that they move and the coexisting presence of some method of light. Okay, you're supposed to be ignorant of all that. You're witnessing the same pattern over and over and over again, and it is entirely psychotic. It's occurring in the workplace, and it's pursuant to what is real-time knowledge that their criminal conduct is being documented. What I also wanted to go over is not only on its beyond this, what I'm showing you, the light sources outside of my leasing office at 11 in the morning, and immediate. Very rapid movement from the visible outside. What I'm seeing here outside my leasing office window is not visible over the top of my head outside of my front door. That's the only point that I'm pointing out. The light source is moving, jumping to a different position to be in conformity, which is under no circumstances in conformity to the natural environment, period. But I want to point that out. This is just another point of analysis for the federal government and for these federal government agencies who are going to study and fully understand the demonic, which becomes legally relevant for the protection of the United States. Okay, because this is what the corrupt government is doing at a state level in this country, and it is with regard to what is terrorism, and it is relevant to the safety on a national level, because this is what a corrupt government is doing against American citizens. And you're also looking at the increased lawlessness while that criminal activity, that criminal system is exposed. As you see the entity fail and you're trying to retaliate, you're not winning because your criminal system is exposed. The government has already lost that feat. Any and everything that the entity is doing, and it's nothing but the entity. There's no car accident, okay? And I bind that in the name of Jesus. I'm not speaking anything, but I want to let you know there's no accidents. There's no random identity theft. There's no theft of your ID and social security numbers. This is the government. It's the same entity. There's no such thing as a car accident in the specific environment. You're being targeted. So that's what I want you to it's an attack on your life. And there's no coincidence when I am fully exposing what the state government is doing in California. Okay, so I just want to speak to that. There's no such thing. There's no traffic stop. They're engaging in what is terrorism, and they know exactly what I'm in the midst of exposing about them. And every exercise of a fictitious authority, like I said, it's gone to federal prison. They're exercising fictitious authority. They're engaged in surveillance. Every act of what is a threat to your life while the entity is engaged in surveillance, you don't even have any authority. And the fact you're a whole psychopath acting like you have reasonable suspicion. No, you don't. You know when my panties are going down. You demon. Okay, that's the reality of what they're doing. So, and that's how that system works. And that's absolutely psychotic. You're supposed to think that they're just mowing the grass. No, they're actually targeting you. And that demonic method of targeting that is operating in a system is known through that behavior and that unnatural environment. And then you see it trickle down as you see the fictitious operation of a government that doesn't have any jurisdiction because they're engaged in criminal surveillance, because there's a constitution in California and in the United States, state and federal. All right, so they don't have any legitimate jurisdiction, or they don't have any legitimate basis to enforce anything. You don't have a right to arrest. You don't have a right to pull over. You don't have a right to detain. You don't have a right to fly over in a helicopter. Your whole criminal system is fully exposed. It's the criminalization of everything that corrupt government is doing under the malicious guise of having authority to do so, and they don't. They don't. Neither do they when they're acting in concert with the people of the state. Harassing you, audible activity on behalf of the state. Defaming you, audible activity on behalf and in concert with the state. False charges against you. That's a kidnapping amongst what is, again, a fictitious authority, and the exercise, not only the exercise of fictitious authority, but also defaming you as though you're engaging in a crime. Everything that the government is doing is criminal. Everything. Okay, so whether you steal a candy bar, the government has no right to engage in what are demonic and also criminal methods of knowing exactly the moment that you're stealing a criminal. That's not how the law was designed. Reasonable suspicion, probable cause is based on the ability to ascertain facts and information based on what you don't know as a demon, but what you know based on the facts as they are revealed to you. Not a bunch of demons that are acting in concert together in ways that a normal person that is not of the demonic is ignorant of. And those demons are sitting on the bench, acting as though they're relying on information. They're relying on information that another demon provided to them while they are silencing that target individual. They are defaming that target individual. I'm just speaking to how the way the corrupt entity is operating where this pattern of conduct is underway. You're necessarily silencing me, okay? But the ordinary target individual, you're talking about someone that very likely may not know their rights, okay? Very likely driven to a point of being exhausted emotionally, mentally, all right? Having been subject to ongoing ceaseless harassment, perhaps not the most eloquent, not able to even articulate what they're subject to, but that doesn't make it less criminal. It doesn't make it less tormenting. It doesn't make it less demonic and psychotic. It doesn't make it less criminal by that state. So the inability to represent themselves in the way that I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual does not in any way remedialize or lessen the terrorist conduct of a corrupt government in the United States. It doesn't. So it's a matter of time for the ability of someone's going to have to be subject to it, and it's myself, in order to expose it. And that's exactly what this is. It has nothing to do, it has no bearing on the mental state of that targeted individual. If you're suffering indeed from paranoid schizophrenia or some sort of mental illness, and let me be clear, it's legally irrelevant with regard to documentation of a government that's keeping you under surveillance because the evidence establishes that. So because you may be a paranoid schizophrenic, that does not rebut the specific environment. This is a false basis upon which the government's criminal system relies. By the way, the specific environment was never anything that was going to be exposed based on Satan's agenda. You were going to be discarded from society altogether, written off as crazy if you ever asserted the fact that the government or people, strangers, are stalking you, which is how it's an unintelligent articulation of the pattern of conduct that I have never spoken to. That is an ignoramus of the demonic spirit that is hostile to its exposure and the fact that they're demons. That's an unintelligent articulation of it, and that's not even what group stalking is. You can know them or not know them. It's not based on your relationship, your personal relationship. You're seeing it through the environment and the unnatural behavior. Everything about the unnatural environment is speaking to what is criminal presence by the government first and the people of the state vicariously second. Where the people of the state or the state itself would like to falsely depict that target individual and say, oh my gosh, strangers are stalking me. Of course, that is seeking to falsely depict someone who, by the way, again, the ordinary person that is exactly what's happening. The engineer light on Alvarado Street, those are strangers to me. I don't know them. The demons driving on Glenview at the Glendale DMV, those are strangers. I don't know them. The demon driving that Metro bus, that's a stranger, and I do not know them or anybody on that bus. In Ontario, California, on Route 83, that's a stranger to me. I don't know that driver. I don't know any of those demons crossing path in traffic or any of them riding the bus. You are looking at the pattern of conduct that's underway, and it is exhibited through the environment and the ongoing cooperative criminal activity by the state. That's how you're identifying it. The entity fails at trying to falsely depict this targeted individual. I am speaking on behalf of what the ordinary one is subject to, and the inability to intelligently articulate such that a federal government will not dismiss, all right, which is tragic. It's tragic, all right? But it never even gets to the federal level because the state is silencing the target individual. And this is why you're busting through all of that. Every level of the government at the state level is corrupt. Every level. Every single level of government is corrupt. So anyway, I'm going through all of that, but I want to state the entity is maintaining this light source and appearing while Jose and Sons are providing ongoing direct evidence of the fact that they are indeed engaged in group stalking, and their provision of evidence to that end coming every single Monday is what is a facilitation of state terrorism, and they're going to federal prison for that. And the evidence of it is the unnatural environment that they're in, using leaf blowers and lawnmowers, going around using pesticides. All of it is audible activity, light activity, irrelevant positioning, while the state provides evidence against them, speaking to the reality of what they're doing, which is group stalking. You're not coincidentally pacing with that entity under the light source amongst engineered light. No, you have multiple phenomenons there, and you have the ongoing pattern of demons. That's group stalking. There's no coincidences there. Okay, this is how the people of the state are maliciously engaging in their criminal co-part of the system, engaging in wherever they live, wherever they work. They are doing so in the shoes of the state, and that is by way of rendering illegitimate whatever your company name is. you just expose that company to civil prosecution for engaging in terrorism and being published to the world that you are engaging in terrorism, which makes you a sex offender. It makes you a group stalker, speaking to what is your support for what is Satan itself, and doing so in a malicious manner, a manner revealing what is a matter of public corruption. And you want to make business and you want to do business amongst the American people. I don't even think many will survive, but those that are bigger, such as UPS, they have a lot of money. That's going to put a dent in the reality of what they're doing, what they represent. They're not above the law, and they are not above what is suffering the due consequences with regard to the reality of what those companies represent and what they are doing with corrupt governments in the United States. And it has to be abroad also. But again, I'm in the U.S., so I'm going to mind my business here in the U.S. All right. So the entity it's 12:23 p.m. So this is relevant positioning and just looking while the entity's terrorizing me in helicopters. All right, and then these demons pace around and engineer light while the light source rapidly appears over me at what is 11:16, jumps to the front of my office door directly over my head. At 11:34, the entity is flying directly over my head on video as I'm documenting the people of the state, Jose and Sons, on my phone and by images, writing down, documenting them. They are pacing all around while the light source, again, is already present, but you're just uncovering it for purposes of light activity. Looking down to the left and right is a documented act of terrorism. That's a psychopath. That is indeed group stalking. While they engage in this, exhibiting your mental illness, that's more terrorizing to the target individual. As though the federal government's going to prosecute you for that level of malice, for that exposure of what is your highly demented mind state, thinking that no one is supposed to know that you are fully engaged in what is terrorism. Okay, that's showing desperation and obsession as opposed to what the entity thought and sought to demonstrate that the targeted individual is imagining it. No, that doesn't work in the specific environment. That doesn't work when the state is an established terrorist stalking. In helicopters at that. In helicopters. Okay, these demons are stalking amongst engineer light. That's how I have a random DMV that I go to on any morning. And then you have what is stalking with engineer light all across the walls of that DMV. It's the whole population, and everybody's catching a piece of this federal prosecution. While now the sun is centered over Alvarado Gardens, where I remain, and doing so. And so what I was documenting, which is relevant to May 30th. So I'm at the same property. And I am here, so I just want to go through. This is my apartment building. While the entities maintain the light source outside of the front of my leasing office, I'm here at 10 o'clock in the morning. The light source, hold on. Again, the entity sounding helicopter activity while they're witnessing the damning evidence as I continuously capture it. It is 12:25. Everybody's going to federal prison. And this is what the entity, they're concentrating it now around my office. When I'm in my apartment, that's where they're concentrating it. And we will revisit that flashing light on my ceilings to conclude this video. And that is exactly why, again, Jose and Sons, those pack of demons are coming every Monday engaging in state terrorism, are all going to federal prison, license plate 75468R1, acting pursuant to the pattern. That's exactly what they did while I was documenting them in my office, and the entity flies over my head. Repeating that same pattern. This is where I'm at on this day. This is an entity. Let me be clear. Every time you're witnessing that, as I document it, it is revealed. They are literally confirming that is Satan's confirmation to the truth that I speak. Okay? What does Satan do? As I'm revealing Satan's behavior amongst the people in a corrupt government, Satan provides evidence against itself. Okay? Satan is entirely defeated. That's what I'm speaking to. It is 10:05 a.m. while I'm at this property, and the entity is keeping a light source as I am at the same property, building 1806. All right? And the entity, just so that you can see where I'm at, I step outside. The light source is over the top of my head. Let me see if I capture it in this video. All right, this is where the light source is, at the top of my head while I'm standing at the doorway of my of my leasing office, where the entity is targeting helicopter activity, amplifying it while they're flying at a distance, demonic, both iterations of demonic behavior. At 10 o'clock, the light source is over me while I'm at my apartment. This is not going to be seen outside of my leasing office. It's a lot higher, and this is as I'm climbing the staircase going toward my apartment. The light source is moving in stride with me as I'm at the same property, and engineer light is reaching underneath covered structures, moving across the walls, on the floors of a staircase. And this is just a day of documentation. The people of the state maintaining cameras, which again, the state and the people of the state are watching me together. All right, that's what cameras are for. Those are communication devices relevant for monitoring. Literally, as I walk outside of my apartment. Okay, that same entity that's stalking in the path with helicopters are using the people of the state that provide surveillance cameras. Iris Carnero of building 1806, number 1, and Jung Kim Jong of 1806, number 5, providing camera footage while they're group stalking with the state, and they're going to federal prison for that. I'm only laughing because they're going to federal prison for a long time for that. Then Kim Jong's going to be deported, her and Shang Jong. So while I'm inside of my apartment, this is engineer light. That is at 10:54 in the morning. And this is while I am 10:07. So this is May 30th while I'm inside of my apartment. This is May 30th at 10:54 in the morning. So I'm capturing, as I'm walking back and forth to my apartment, and the entity is maintaining this light source. I just want you to see what is, again, as I show the sidewalk, I'm showing what is the absence of the light source outside of the leasing office or being over my leasing office at the same time, okay? As I move on the property, the light source moves. I'm standing in front of my staircase of building 1806. That's what I'm capturing. Let's look at the timestamp so you can see. 10:54, 23 seconds. 10:54, 20 seconds. I'm showing the light source right over my head, 10:54 and 17 seconds. The entity is maintaining a light source 11:45, while it is, again, outside of my window, which is 11:16 in the morning. The entity is maintaining, this is seen outside of my leasing office. What I can see outside of my, above my head at my, apartment building is not above my head in front of my leasing office, as I am facing I'm facing building 1810. What's over my head is going to be seen at a distance nearest building 1806, where I am not. We're at facing building 1810. The light source is visible outside my leasing office at the top, 11:16 in the morning. As I walk from my office to my apartment, which is what I'm showing on the bottom at 10:54 a.m., the light source moves as I move. That's the significance of what I'm showing you. And this is me in front of my staircase as I walk up my stairs. The light source is in alignment to my living room window, which is not going to be seen outside of my leasing office window. It certainly is never creating light activity on the floor through closed blinds. You also see the entity aiming engineer light on my ceiling. I've also documented that inside of my apartment. All manner of what is light activity. It's not sunlight. Nor is this the same position as being in alignment with building 1806 through the living room window. There's a wall that constricts my ability to see what's happening at the leasing office location. Okay, it's directly over my head outside of the leasing office. This is not seen through the living room window of my apartment in building 1806, apartment number 6. And this is just what I'm showing you as you document on a day-to-day basis what is stalking with a light source and stalking amongst what is engineered light, which is on the floor here. And that's just an immediate example of engineered light, because all of this is engineered light. None of this is actual sunlight, nor is that the sun. So the entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct on this day, and looks like May 30th, where I'm showing you the light source that's over me at 9 o'clock. It's 10:55 in the morning. So let's go back to what was happening at 9 in the morning, where I'm at the same location. This is the leasing office, and it's at 9 o'clock, and at 10:55 it's still over me. As I walk to my apartment, there it is over my head. As I go back and forth to my apartment, it remains over me. Let me see. 10:05. As I walk upstairs, the engineered light that appears underneath, this is, let me show you this. This is not sunlight. This is touching a surface with engineered light, okay? And you also know it's not sunlight because I'm capturing the light source in an entirely different region. There's a body of evidence before I relocated to LA, which is not shared with the sky space exclusively over Alvarado Gardens and the Glendale DMV, okay? Since I've now gone there and the entity engaged in an outright departure from the sun rising and setting at Alvarado Gardens, in a position to be seen out of my living room and bedroom window for the duration of the day. So this is where I am located, in front of my apartment building. So as I walk back and forth to my office, the light source remains directly over my head as I walk directly downstairs. And so you can see that through the timestamp. That's all I show you is 10:54. On this day at 9, it's over my office, over the trees, at just the same location, essentially the same location right here where the trees are, 9 o'clock. Okay, as I walk back and forth, I'm still at the same property, going back downstairs from my apartment to my office, 10:54. It's still over my head, and that's not just over the property. It remains over me as I move about the property. That's how I have it over me as I walk to and fro my apartment staircase, which is where I'm standing here. And then I go back to my office in front of my door, and it's over my head as I move back here. And it remains here as I'm showing later and later in the day. This is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's in the same location. I'm showing you today. This is 11:34. The entity maintains the light source as I'm standing in front of my leasing office, same location. This is 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and this is indeed where I'm standing. You can look at the timestamps. 12:54, 12 o'clock and 54 seconds, 12 o'clock and 51 seconds. I'm just showing you my shadow, where I'm located, and I'm showing you the light source that remains at the same location. When I am Going back toward my apartment, this is indeed the light source. You can see the light off of the camera because the light source is hovering right above me as I'm standing in front of the same apartment building where I was at 10 o'clock, where I'm at the same property, by the way, at 9 o'clock, and that which is supposedly the sun. And here is the light source again as I'm standing in front of my same apartment building at 12:21 in the afternoon, moving as I move. Keeping over my head as I move. I'm showing you the hillside where I'm indeed located. I'm in front of my apartment. And this is directly over my head as I am standing in front of my apartment. This is at 12 o'clock. 12:21. You are looking at the light source that is over me as I am showing on May 30th. By the way, let's go down here. May 30th. Again, I just want you to remember this is the passage of time, which is 9 o'clock. And this is alongside one property. The sidewalk between my apartment and the office, it's one little sidewalk. I'm just walking upstairs to my apartment, back downstairs to the leasing office. The light source remains over me. And this is the same location, 9 o'clock to what is 12 o'clock, as I give you some up close documentation exposing what is maintaining a light source that's not possibly the sun. As I walk downstairs, it remains moving as I move at the same property. And who are stalking in the path? UPS, Jose and Sons Landscaping, the people that stay going in and out of the laundry room, being demons, stalking with noise creation, the demons that are stalking in helicopters, as I am still at the same property. Right now at the top, this is my leasing office. This is where I'm standing. I'm documenting the use of a phone number, calling my office, and the light source is directly over my head at 11:34. I'm at the same property where I'm showing you outside of my leasing office at 9 o'clock in the morning, right over these trees, the light source, which is supposedly the sun. It's not the sun. And I'm at the same property where I walk back to my apartment, where I'm going at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, at 12. The entity is maintaining this light source. It's 12:21. This is my apartment building right here, where I'm at the same property. And this is none of this is sunlight either. It's all engineered light showing the crime scene of where the people of the state remain. And this is just showing my front door. Light source is directly over my head. This is the time. While I'm showing group stalkers that live in relevant position, and I'm in front of my apartment door. And this is the entity that has the light source over me at what is outside of my leasing office, which is within the pattern. Okay, so this is speaking to what is the unnatural environment where the people of the state are using landscaping tools to provide audible activity creation. As I then leave my apartment on lunch, which is again captured on May 30th, 2024 at 1:27. Where's the sun? Oh, it's right here, still directly over my head at the same exact apartment building. My apartment building, 1806. Over the front, by the way, I just captured last week, and I've captured multiple times while I'm standing on the opposite side of the same apartment building. The light source is over my head. That's what I'm documenting, by the way, on June 5th, 2024, when I'm coming from the DMV. There's no sun. That's over the trees of the Alvarado Gardens, outside of the leasing office of Alvarado Gardens, because it's over me while I'm at Glendale. And it's over me while the Uber is driving me up Clifford, down Alvarado to arrive at the property. And there's no sun visible over that leasing office. The sky space is on video. Where the entity is flying in relevant position, stalking in a helicopter. All right. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct in a remarkably identifiable environment that is entirely unnatural. It defies science, common sense, logic, and nature. It's demonic. And the behavior in that environment is demonic, in the same way that the entity sounds helicopter activity, because they know exactly what I am exposing. While they do that, it is evidence against them and the people. Let me be clear. The two are one. The government is group stalking through the people of the state. There is no sun that's going to be over me at the same apartment building at 1:27 in the afternoon. The entity is maintaining this light source while I am at the same property outside of my leasing office, and you're looking at it at the same property at what is 11:16. I'm at the same property. This is 11:12, 2 hours later. And not only that, as you're looking at it, which is on the same day when I'm here at 10. And I'm just documenting, again, the pattern of conduct as I walk about the property, and the light source is moving all around. And the light source is remaining over me as I'm capturing. This is 10. 3 hours later, as though the sun is going to be over me at this same apartment building. I'm standing in front of this apartment building, my apartment building at 10:54. And this is exactly where it's at what is 12 over my head, not just over the apartment building, but over specifically my head. It's very specific with regard to stalking with the light source. And it's the pattern of conduct is not hidden by virtue of looking to the left and right and digging out your car, like a psychopath, a demon-possessed one, a highly malicious group stalker fails to recognize. You are witnessing the unnatural environment. At 127, I'm standing in front of my apartment building where I was standing at 10:54 in the morning and this light source is in the same position over my head at the same exact location. That is the spectacular evidence of what I'm showing you as I'm at the entrance of the same apartment complex. And the entity is, Brian says, going to federal prison. And the entity is engaging in what is maintaining this light source at the same entryway at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're looking at it over my head. This is 11. The light source is just remaining over me everywhere that I walk at the property. And this is the context to what Jose and Sons is engaging in, and with knowledge. Engaging in what is psychotic and vicious terrorism of an American citizen, while helicopters are used to engage in threatening you, to communicate a threat that the entity is indeed continuously to date, with knowledge that you're enforcing your rights, that you're subject to terrorism, and they sit there and act in concert with that government. And it is readily identifiable and known beyond a reasonable doubt when you're exposing their demon possession, because that's necessarily what your condition is, as you act in sync pursuant to this demonic environment and the demonic behavior that the state is exhibiting while they are stalking together, group stalking. All right, they're doing so, and that is entirely vicious and inhumane what the people of the state engage in concert with that government. Okay, this is under no circumstances the natural environment. Even just 11 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the light source is still remaining. It's 3:18, and I'm standing at the same entryway of my leasing office, which I capture with my shadow at 3:18, and I'm here in front of the same leasing office, which is under no circumstances the natural environment. So I just wanted to go through that. This is where the entity is. This is why I pointed it out, because all the entity, this is where the light source is at in the morning. And in February, before the entity suffered what was severe critique, and I continue to critique what is under no circumstances natural. This is not rocket science. And also, it's not rocket science that you continue to engage in stalking in an unheard of method. And this is going to go around the world, that an American government is stalking American citizens using helicopters. And then that egregious criminal conduct is repeated as you further expose all the ways in which they engage in that criminal system. That's literally the significance of hearing ongoing helicopter activity. Why? Because they're listening to me go from topic to topic as I go to another topic. And that's what the demons are both, they tremble out that, but they're not fearful enough to stop engaging in stalking. That's why the federal government's going to remove them. That's why they're going to federal prison. That's why they're going to face disbanding. That's why they're going to be listed as terrorists in this country. That's why they're done with law enforcement. That's why the name of that particular law enforcement agency will be specifically identified as a terrorist organization that no longer exists. It's to make an example out of them. Okay, so I just want to speak to what is my same exact location. There's no sun that's going to be over anybody in Florida, which is 3 hours ahead. At any point of the day, is the sun capable of being present in Florida? 11, 12, 1, that would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Florida. And this would be 3 o'clock, that would be 6 in the evening in Florida. The entity is maintaining a light source, which is to the exclusion that the sun is ever over anyone in Florida at any point in the day, including 9 o'clock in the morning. On this day, on May 30th, the light source is over me outside of my leasing office as I'm capturing it in its still image at 9 o'clock in the morning. And all the entity is doing, stalking with what is engineer light. That's not sunlight. That tells on Iris Carnero, you know what she is and you know what she's doing. And doing so while you live at that crime scene, you're going to federal prison for that. All right. And you witness the behavior, maintaining presence in the path while they want to hold the hands of children, while they want to hold a package, while they want to drive a commercial vehicle, and you're looking at them engaging in what is a system. And it's the identical pattern of behavior, the pattern of conduct. All right. And it is centered on what is an unnatural environment. And it doesn't matter how long of a portion of the day the entity seeks to hide a light source. You can hide it. And that it is indeed hiding. This is not the operation of the natural environment. This is not a change of seasons. In the same way that you're looking at a light source remain over me at the leasing office for a half of a whole day, as I'm just showing you a few pictures from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm standing at the same office, going from my apartment over my head as I walk back to my leasing office. That's a very limited aspect on the property, by the way, just so that you're aware. So let me show you on a map what you're looking at. Give me 1 second, because it's not just over the property over my head. I'm literally going from my apartment back to the office, from the office back to my apartment, and the light source is remaining over my head, defying common sense and nature in doing so. And this is revealing what is a third party, that is speaker companies. As I literally go from my office to my apartment, That's this sidewalk right here, not going anywhere. Over my head as I walk back to my apartment the entire time, moving in real time as I move, remaining where I remain in my office, remaining where I remain while I'm at my apartment. All that you have seen is clearly when I do this at 11 o'clock in the morning, the light switch is over my head on this side of the apartment building. That's exactly what you're seeing. Excuse me, this is the sidewalk. That's exactly what you've seen. If I'm here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you see the light source directly over my head at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If I'm here at 3 in the afternoon, you see the light source right over my head at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When I am here, including when I'm inside of my apartment, it's over my head visible through the window. None of that is the natural environment. If I'm in my office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you see that light source right over me while I'm standing in front of my office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Where I'm showing you, it's right over here over the trees at 9 o'clock. It's outside of my living room window in perfect alignment to me, which is called stalking with light, at 7:59 in the morning, just the other day, just last week. At as early as 6:45 in the morning, that's on record. 6:45 in the morning, and it's still over my head at 3 in the afternoon. Literally, and it's over the top of my head at 3 in the afternoon. That's not the natural environment, and that's a very small area. This is non-movement of the so-called sun. That's not the sun. This is where the entity is stalking in helicopters. This is where the entity are engaging what are the demonic elements of monitoring terrorism, which is what Jose and Sons are captured again today, Monday, June 10th, engaging in, and they pose an impermissible threat in doing so. They have the foolish act, which all of the entity do while they're captured on video stalking with engineered light. It's the prosecution of the whole population. While they're captured on video and in images stalking with the entity that uses helicopters and police vehicles, it's a prosecution of the whole entity. While I'm documenting Alvarado Gardens, remember Alvarado Gardens is the people of the state. These group stalkers that live on this property are revealing what the entire population is doing. 24-hour criminal surveillance no matter where you go, including this from my office to my apartment, no matter where I go. That's what the entire population is doing. All right, the entity is doing so. It's 12:44 p.m. So let me go ahead and get on video as I go through that discussion. This is where the entity was sounding helicopter activity, and it's right here over my head. All right, this is P.O.C. This is where an entity engages in what is maintaining presence. Oh, yeah, that's 18022, the Maradiegas. This is a demon that's stalking in the path. And you know that because that which is not the sun is over my head. That which is not sunlight ricochets off of buildings while she and Akim and Nadeshda, I believe are her names, they're demons that are engaging in what is group stalking while engineer light moves all across the apartment buildings. They act in concert with LAPD that flies over the property. And while they are walking by or driving by, that's the concerted conduct by a psychopath that would be stalking in a laundry room. That's a psychopath. Okay, that represents the whole population. And it's also impunity. And that's why that particular actor and everybody else that's not a natural born citizen, the Maradiegas, whatever country that they're from, they're going right back. And that country can handle that problem. That's an easy way to get rid of such terrorists that aren't even naturally born here. You're not welcome to be here engaging in terrorizing American citizens, and no corrupt government is going to shelter you or protect you. That government will be systematically broken down and rebuilt, and you will go back to wherever you came from. It is currently 12:45 p.m. That's the P.O.C. The entity is maintaining a light source over me at 12:44 in the afternoon. And while we are looking at that, what I want to go through while you're looking at the light source that's directly over me in the same position, it's 12:44 when you saw that, and it's 11:34 a.m. when I'm showing you the exact same position. It's not moving until I move. And big picture analysis, all the entity is doing is, as you see where I'm tapping on the screen right here, the light source is at its zenith over my head. So you're talking about on an average of every 2 hours, just subtly moving just a couple feet as though the sun is going to rise on this side of me and set on this side of me. That's how you have it over building essentially. Let me show you this on camera, where you have the light source that's still over me at the same entryway of my office. It's over me at showing you at as early. The entity has kept the light source over me at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I've documented that already. The entity is engaging in what is knowledge about the fact that there is a pre-existing body of evidence which is prosecuting this same exact entity beyond a reasonable doubt. In addition to that, I continuously capture evidence which is ongoing corroboration. The documentation is already complete for purposes of prosecuting a population. Okay, you have to have a level of evidence to show that there's no exception, that you're not going to engage in any injustice to prosecute some sort of innocent bystander. It doesn't exist in the specific environment. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist amongst the ongoing impossible light activity. It doesn't exist where the state is stalking directly using helicopters and whatnot. So I'm showing you what is a population that is engaged in what is a matter of public corruption. by stalking by the government. It's group stalking, and it's criminal surveillance by the state, who relies on necessarily doing so in concert with all of those in that environment. So while I'm standing out here at 1244, which is what you see on video, on video right now, what I just captured, I'm speaking to, also I want to point out where I am on this date. And so the entity that is aware of pre-existing documentation, this is again the inability to, under any circumstances, contradict what remains the specific environment, and under no circumstances is removing that evidence. No federal government, no federal court, no federal judge is going to forget that. No scientific expert relying on the operation of the natural environment and sun and sunlight and the ability to see the sun through my bedroom window facing the direction west as it's remaining visible outside of the entrance doors of the Ovid Family Community Library at the same time, where it's over that same entrance at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 o'clock in the evening. None of that is ever going to help what you are witnessing. The entity covering up its light source, showing it at the second half of the day, at whatever point the light source is unveiled, it's right over my head, and the entity engages in what is a sunset in alignment and in conformity to the pattern of conduct. Period. You are witnessing the malice of a corrupt government, which is serving for what is serious time in federal prison for every judge, for every DA, for every public defender, for every law enforcement officer, for every sheriff's deputy, okay, for every government actor acting in the state agencies, the local agencies that are engaging in state terrorism, that are facilitating that, for every iteration of the criminal conduct that I document that the people are acting in concert with, such as the Mayor Diaga, who's group stalking in the laundry room, that's serving for what is justifying all the ways in which you're going to punish the entire operation of that corrupt government, whose demonic system is captured in the presence of an unnatural environment. This is 6/19. On this day in 2022, I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, and this is documenting the state. He's going to federal prison. I can't put it any other way to you. This is the government acting directly and doing so under the guise of, oh, we're securing the Ontario Town Square. We've got an event going on. We're just doing our duty, serving the good people and making sure there's no ruckus going on. You know, there's no lawlessness. They are indeed the criminal. And I want you to see, because he's going to federal prison in particular. This is the same agency, terrorist agency, that LAPD is exhibiting, the entire state is engaging in. These corrupt law enforcement agencies are actually terrorist organizations, and that's just based on the raw reality of what they are actually doing and seeking to maliciously do so in the face of that targeted individual. He's going to federal prison. This is Ontario PD and his demon possession, which is exhibited through the unnatural environment where he's stalking with light activity while this demon uses a police vehicle and does so covered in engineer light. There's no sun that's outside of my bedroom window at 6:18 in the evening, while engineer light is appearing in sunlight that's supposedly moving all across my carpet, is under no circumstances anywhere near the 280 North Lemon Apartments on Lemon in Ontario, at this same location, by the way, where I'm here at 10 in the morning. There's not going to be any sunset outside of the doors of the Ovid Family Community Library, which is exactly what I'm capturing right here. This is the Ontario Town Square. It is literally the same turn circle where the Ovid Family Community Library is. This is called relevant positioning and light activity. This is the boldness that the people of the state exhibit while they're engaging in terrorism in concert with the state. And all of the demons can keep their back to you. They don't have to talk to you. But let me be clear, the entity is heavily documented engaging in what is terrorism, specifically using helicopters. He's going to federal prison, engaging in what is kidnapping on June 16, 2022, where there's never going to be any sun outside of my leasing office, as I'm capturing it at 11:16 in the morning, which is what I'm capturing today in a still image at 11:16, when I'm showing you same time of year analysis, the light source that's directly over me, while I am remaining at the Ovid Family Community Library, where this corrupt law enforcement agency is engaging in what is the act of terrorism. This is the same library where I'm showing you at 6:18 in the evening. This is not the sun. So I just want you to see that.
And this is license plate.
This is terrorism.
1591409. This is P.O.C.
This is the light source. This is the same Ovid Family Community Library, okay? Where you're looking at what is the maintenance of this light source as I'm capturing the same street, the same location, and this is the so-called sunset at that same address. This is the Ontario Town Square. The Ovid Family Community Library entrance faces the Ontario Town Square. That's what you're looking at in this video. As I walk toward the vehicles and read license plates, In
It doesn't
Ontario
make any
Town
sense
Square?
because you want to state that somebody said, excuse me, let me get him for a second. I've already addressed you. You came in, you're telling me that somebody told you X, Y, and Z.
This is the entity that engages in what are making up manufacturing information. They're harassing me and they're group stalking, and that's what I'm exposing in this video. And I'm also exposing their demon possession. This is a terrorist organization that is engaging what is masquerading as they are in masquerading having authority under our constitutional government as a part of what is the executive branch, and they are literally abusing this position that we honor. Okay, police officers with this, and we're entrusting them, and they're abusing that, and they're also doing so because they serve Satan. This is demon possession. This is criminal conduct. And you are seeing it while the light source is over this entryway at 10:29. This is the time, 10:29 in the morning. There's no sun that's going to be, this is June 16, 2022. There's no sun that's going to be over my head like you just saw at 12:44 in the afternoon. As you saw, as I captured images over my head at the same office at what is, let's go, recall what you saw outside of my leasing office at what is 11:16. Let me be clear, I'm capturing this video. This video is over 18 minutes long. I remain here. The entity engages in kidnapping on this day. There's no sun that's going to be over Ovid Family Community Library and also outside of my leasing office window, both in position over the top of my head, remaining at Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day. I've also captured that unnatural environment here at the Ovid Family Community Library. He is going to federal prison. Okay, this is understanding what is the malice that the corrupt government that is monitoring you is exhibiting. And it is the grounds of disbanding. It is the grounds of what is identifying. This is Guerrero. He's going to federal prison. He's present while, as I'm documenting, at this same entranceway, in Ontario, where the entity is maintaining a light source while I'm literally going from my apartment back to my leasing office in Alvarado Gardens. There's no sun over both of those locations, let alone for the duration of the day. I'm showing you the crime scene where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and at 6:27 p.m., I'm standing in front of that same library and town square. And so this is what I believe I was going to show you a second, so you can see. This video is kind of lengthy and it forwards quickly. I want you to see if I can show you. Here you go. This is what I'm facing. This is the Wells Fargo, and there's a turn circle right here. The Ontario Town Square is right there on the opposite side of the same turn circle. It's all right there. The light source at 10:29 in the morning. I'm still here. This is what I'm documenting at 6 in the evening, as though that would be the sunset. That's not the sunset. That's not the natural environment, in other words. This is stalking with the whole environment, letting you know what the whole population is doing, as I documented that criminal conduct. All right. And the entity engages in stalking in helicopters. So does the Ontario Police Department. That's exactly what the LA Police Department is doing, while they know exactly what's being exposed. There's no sun that's going to be outside of my leasing office and then setting at the Ovid Family Community Library. There's no sun that's going to be over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library at 10:29 in the morning, which is what I documented while this iteration of the pattern of conduct is underway in Ontario at 215 East C Street, while the light source is directly over me.
This is where they're over.
While it's seen outside of my leasing office as I'm documenting it today at what is 11:16, okay? 10:29, 10:50 in the morning, that first video is where I'm capturing this on June 16, 2022. I remain at that Ovid Family Community Library where I'm capturing the maintenance of that light source that remained over me, never anywhere near Alvarado Gardens, where, by the way, the entity is not only maintaining the light source explicitly over this property as though the sun is going to rise and set over me, going from out over my head in alignment to me while I then go to my apartment and it's captured setting in alignment to me. There's no provision that will be the sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, and the same analysis applies for what I documented first in Ontario, San Bernardino County, then relocating to Los Angeles. That's how you know exactly what Maridiega is engaging in, and it is both entirely pathetic and it's terrorizing that a demon-possessed third-party malicious actor would go to such lengths to target you for no reason. Should not be concerned or knowledgeable about what's going on with my panties, but that's exactly what that sex offender knows and what she's engaging in. And you also know that that's a demon that is acting with the demons that are using helicopters, while that which is not the sun that you just saw over my head at 12:44 in the afternoon, it's 12:58. And that was the fourth time the entity sounded helicopter activity, directly incriminating everybody that lives at this property that's engaged in 24-hour surveillance. What I documented on this day in 2022, I am nowhere near Los Angeles. The entity is maintaining a light source as I am waking up in the morning. So this is the inability of a corrupt government that's witnessing the exposure of its demon possession, its demonic activity, and its group stalking, which is criminal conduct. Because the entity covers up the light source does not change the fact that, first of all, I've already captured the demonic imitation of a sunrise through my living room window. No one's forgetting that. While the entity engages in what is unveiling a light source, which is not possibly the sun, during the 11 o'clock hour. All right, on this day in 2022, where I remained waking up at what is 7:29, this is where I'm at, and 7:29 and 7:29 and 31 seconds is where I'm showing you where the sun rises at the 225 South Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where I documented for a prolonged period. I mean, you're talking about the P.O.C. captured for a term of years, and then I relocated to L.A. That is, again, the surefire prosecution of the whole population, while these demons are also showing the fact that they like to engage in what is light activity creation. All right? This is the entity that is group stalking in the specific environment, Amazon Prime, that comes onto the grounds here in Los Angeles under what's not the shared sun or any sunlight. This is Amazon Prime heavily documented engaged in what is state terrorism. They also use their commercial planes. Engaging the same exact criminal system, the remarkable environment where there is no shared sky space over me at the bus stop. This is the same bus stop I was at, by the way, yesterday evening in 2022, where I am showing you impossible light activity moving all across the roof of the bus. I'm here in the morning. This is the point of what I'm documenting. This is the whole point of what I'm documenting. And then I'm going to end this with the impossible light activity that you saw inside of my apartment yesterday evening, where you're looking at the light source that's over my head right now. That's supposedly the sun. And it's still in alignment to me while I'm inside of my apartment after 6 o'clock in the evening, where Brian Suds engaging in criminal conduct of the highest nature on behalf of a government and the people. And he's going to federal prison. Then that terrorist is going to be deported, just like Mary Diaga, engaging in surveillance in a laundry room. Okay, clearly showing she has nothing else to do with her life. The federal government's going to help her figure that out in a federal cell. Okay, the entity is maintaining this light activity. I just want to point something out to you. This light activity, this bus stop, this is the same location where I'm at on the which you just saw. On the next day, on the 10th, I'm at this bus stop where Amazon Prime is crossing path and the light source is over me in the morning, 7 in the morning, at the same bus stop. And the so-called sun, it's not the sun that will be seen through my bedroom window when you look at my video from yesterday evening, nor would it be the same sun that's over, and I'm stating that on purpose because there's only one sun. It's very exclusive, and it is not going to remain over me for the duration of the day, all morning until the evening. That's showing what is targeting by a state that's practicing a demonic system, and they're stalking you necessarily so. The entity is maintaining a light source in the evening.
And this is the bus stop where the light source is remaining.
And you're looking at what is engineer light. I reviewed that already. So on this day in 2022, I go to the same bus stop where you're looking at Amazon Prime group stalking systematically, just like you see the demons in traffic at the Glendale DMV. Engineer light moving all across the walls, across my person, while demons are driving commercial vehicles, driving City of Ontario. That's the municipality group stalking. The entity is stalking in helicopters and airplanes, like I documented, including using commercial airline planes such as UPS and Amazon Prime and FedEx, all of whom are documented now that I'm here in LA, the same state system underway. The same exact criminal conduct in a readily identifiable specific environment, because it's not the natural environment, nor is sunlight ever ricocheting off of your vehicle that bears any logo or just your license plate. Okay, this is the same bus stop. This is where I'm at 7:33. No, that's not the sun. This is the specific environment, just showing you what is crossing path is what I'm documenting. All right, and I'm at the same bus stop as I walk to what is... This appears to be, I'm leaving from the museum and I'm walking up the street, and this is the bus stop where I'm at. I'm getting on the bus at 7:38 in the morning. This is the same Route 83 going northbound, and the light source is moving in a stride with me. Again, like I stated yesterday, out of the passenger side of the window. In the evening, where is it? It's along the driver's side of the window of that same bus route at the end of the day. All right, which has nothing to do with the natural environment. And nor is there any provision that the sun is going to be in its zenith over my head as I walk to and from my apartment back to my leasing office. As I, on the 5th, go from my apartment complex to the DMV in Glendale, California. There's no provision for that to be the natural environment. That's the prosecution for terrorism by the Glendale Police Department, acting in conformity to the state's P.O.C., prosecuting the entire population, because that's what the people are doing in concert with that state. That's what the LAPD is doing on an ongoing basis.
This is the bus stop where the light source is remaining. And this is where I'm present at 6:10 p.m. And the entity is keeping the light source in alignment as I'm standing at the bus stop as though the sun is setting across the street from me. I'm arriving here at 6:33 p.m. And that directed light that you saw moving, they're engaging that ongoing P.O.C., the people of the state. This is evidence against Ariana and Anita and Jason, who are on my podcast engaging what is harassment as a demon-possessed entity. 8F47891. This is P.O.C. These are demons that are stalking on a bus. Employee display is 3338. excuse me,
This is engineer light that's moving on the bus. None of that is sunlight.
That's the Open Family Community Library where there is no sun remaining at that venue.
And that's the light source that's outside of the driver's side.
Keeping in alignment with
that
me.
You can see it. Yeah, there it is outside of the driver's side of the window. This is the same exact bus route. I'm on it at 6:34. You see engineer light moving across the roof of that bus as I begin operating my phone, as I start beginning capturing video. It's the same thing when demons are flying in a helicopter, stalking with audible activity. The method is helicopter. Okay? Yes. Hi. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm great, Carlo. How's it going? What brings you here?
I come to put in a garbage disposal.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I didn't have a work order for that.
I got it over the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't even put in a text message in a group chat. Which apartment is it?
1818 number 2.
Oh, okay. Didn't know anything about that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
What time is it? Oh, yeah, it's 1:05. Got it. I'll put that work order in.
Cool. Everything else good?
I'm great. Have you looked at the, just as an aside, it looks fine to me, but I don't know if you ever went in and looked at 1812 number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look at it?
I did.
Oh, okay. Because it looks fine to me. Just wanted you to...
Did they paint it?
Yeah, they painted it, and it looks nice to me.
Okay. When are they doing the flooring and stuff like that?
Flooring is... They're going to do the carpet on the 13th. The plank flooring is fine. They're going to replace the carpet, though, on the 13th.
Okay.
The carpeting.
You know, I'll go in there and take a look at it now. Let me get the keys.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
And this way, if I can do my work, see what else am I going to need.
Okay.
Maybe I can do it before Friday.
Yeah, no problem. I looked at it today, and it looks fine.
What unit is that? 1812.
Helicopter. 1812. Number 6.
Number 6. All right. I'll check it out.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
And the entity amplifying helicopter activity. Okay, as I document that, the entity knows exactly, and so does he. The entity knows exactly what's being documented, and coming onto the grounds under the guise of the business of a third-party company to engage in the criminal pattern of conduct equals federal prison. Okay, a very simple formula. Okay, very serious criminal conduct, very simple formula. And that's what Carla Lopez and all of them, speaker companies, are engaging in and facilitating. And you see this light source over me at 1:06 in the afternoon while I am on the precipice of showing you some very pivotal criminal conduct that the state is highlighted, underscored by the unnatural environment, even to the extent, they'll make up a work order, okay, in order to engage in crossing a path. That's what that was. You can make up anything. They can go in and break the garbage disposal right now. Let me point something out to you. It is the P.O.C. Okay. So this is the entity this is the light source that's outside of the driver's side of that bus. Okay. Carla Lopez is being prosecuted at the same time that Omnitrans in San Bernardino County is being prosecuted. I'm going to drain the pockets of that bus line. And you're talking about what are a lot of them that are going to federal prison because the entity is stalking me in helicopters while I'm on those buses. Okay, the entity is maintaining a light source at all hours of the day, no matter what route, no matter what direction. And then I relocate to LA and the entity engages in an all route, nonsensical departure from what would ever be in conformity to the natural environment, stalking not only with engineer light that you see moving across the roof of the bus on the inside, but also the light source that's remaining literally over the property. As I'm showing you on May 30th and comparing that with today, June 10th, as I go from my apartment to the management office. Okay, my apartment to the management office and back and forth, that's it. And the light source remains over my head as I move. Step by step as I move and as I remain, and then remains over me as I walk back to my office, and it's remaining over me. There is no sun that's going to be seen out the window of the same bus line, but nonetheless, this is what I'm documenting on June 10th at 6:34. I'm at that same bus stop on this day in the morning, and that light source is remaining over me. This is where the sun rises. There's no provision that there's going to be any sunrise outside of while I'm waking up at a museum in Ontario, where there's a sunrise outside of my living room window. That's how you know what Carla Lopez is engaging in. Doing so under the guise of a illegitimate business, or the people of the state like to provide all sorts of resources to the government that's engaging in what is a demonic system of targeting and surveillance in violation of our constitutional rights. Covering up the light source for the first half of the day does not, under any circumstances, deviate from the criminal system. And what I want to show you is that you have government actors, you have what is entirely unfortunate, and I want to expose this. You have frontsite.mo.org. They purport to do support those, I believe, that are veterans military outreach, they're group stalking. On this day, the entity was engaging in what is terrorism by helicopters while you're looking at these demons asserting themselves, helping out, having a little fair. The light source is over me. The entity is stalking in helicopter, and they're looking to the left and the right and holding up banners, speaking to the good that they're doing in the community amongst veterans in this country. I also want to show you that's the reality. This is the light source. Indeed, 10, 12, 21 in the morning. These are the demons that are group stalking. This is federal stalking. Getting on their phone while I'm documenting them. They know exactly what I'm documenting. This is the Ovid Family Community Library. And I also documented again what is this is the light source right over my head while a demon is group stalking in the path. That is not shared with my leasing office outside in Los Angeles. It's not the natural environment. And what I also documented is literally you have the Navy here. And this is what's so unfortunate. This is what you need to understand with regard to exposing this criminal conduct and the unfortunate condition of those that even call themselves fighting for our country, for our nation. This corruption has infected every area. And so you have those that are calling themselves advocating, signing people up for the Navy. They're doing so while they're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is demonic activity, and it is un-American, and it's also criminal, and you're doing so under the guise of signing up people for the Navy or being in support of those that are a part of the Navy. I just want you to see the picture. Give me a second. I want you to see that because that was the absurdity, the hypocrisy that I captured. That's why I document it. That's exactly why I documented. The entity was engaged in psychotic stalking, repeatedly flying over me by helicopter on this day. While you're looking at them, they were pacing around as I was documenting more and more images. They walk back and forth. That's the significance of what I'm capturing. This is the same parking garage where I remain here after 6 p.m. And I'm showing you the light source where Officer Guerrero of the Ontario PD, I'm capturing his mug. He's going to federal prison, but I'm at this same location in the evening. And that's also confirmation for what I'm showing you that they're doing right now. I'll stay at this location into the evening, and that's where the light source will say it's not the sun in their group stalking. All right. And that's how I'm able to capture it well into after 6 p.m. where I'm at this same location and the light source is remaining over me. So I do have an image of but I'm going to digress off of that point. It's already a part of the record because this video is already so long. So I'm not going to hold this on, but there it is. This is the Navy. They're group stalking. All right. The entity is engaging in what is vicious harassment and psychotic stalking. The terrorist organization that is masquerading as a law enforcement agency. We're using helicopters, and the light source is remaining directly over the top of my head at this same library where I'm showing you this entity engaged in kidnapping. 10:29 in the morning. The light source is over me. It's not going to be outside of my leasing office in LA as I continue that juxtaposition. All right. And the entity is doing so while I stay here. By here I mean here in Ontario, and I am here capturing the specific environment where the entity is acting directly. The entity is acting directly, group stalking. These are actually demons stalking in the path with methods of light. This is what Lorraine Pena is doing this morning with her hazard lights on, holding a baby, group stalking with the state. This is the state doing so directly, using police vehicles. This is what they're doing when they're group stalking in the path while the light source is over me, and they're in relevant positions sounding sirens. They do so in your face under the guise of engaging in some function of their job. And it's the unnatural environment where it's occurring. They're also the same agency that's stalking day and night in helicopters, and they are also the ones that manufacture information, criminally defame you, and kidnap you. And they're doing it in plain sight. It's at the same boldness, foolish boldness, okay? Because that same conduct, this is public corruption, so the entity can't group stalk you secretly. Because of the corruption. So the entity is engaging in that was supposed to appear as, oh, I'm doing my job. Oh, I just live here. Oh, I'm just performing a function, a service. Oh, I just work here. They're doing it right in your face. That malice is flipped on its head, and you are literally clearly engaging in what is very serious criminal conduct by the government. And that's based on the nature of the crime. So they're not secretly engaging in it. In other words, it's very easy to document the criminal system because they do it in plain sight. All right. So I just want to document that every single last officer, these are all cockroaches in the spirit. They're demon possessed. They're obsessively stalking in helicopter. As I document the OPD, it's exactly what the LAPD is documented. That same obsession, that same psychotic level of stalking, that same stalking with audible activity in the method of helicopter, and that same presence in an engineered environment, an unnatural environment. That's what ties together. There is your identification of a statewide system. And this is speaking to the corruption. Like I said, I have documented not only the Navy here at the Ovid Family Community Library, where there would be no such sunset. Okay, there's no sun that's setting at the same place where I'm here in the morning. And by here, I mean at the Ovid Family Community Library, because I am remaining now in Los Angeles, and the light source, which is not possibly the sun, is remaining over me. There's no sunset that's going to be anywhere in the same position that it was as I captured at this same time in 2022, where I'm standing at the same location where I was located in the morning. In addition, where I'm standing, and I'm at the same location in the morning. This is the Ovid Family Community Library. So as I put my back to the same entranceway, facing that Ontario Town Square, the sun set. That is not the sunset. That's a specific environment. But pointing this out, 6:18 p.m., this is indeed the P.O.C. And what you saw yesterday is exhibited by this same entity, stalking in the path, maintaining a light source, as though the light source you see over my head this morning, outside of my leasing office at 11, over my head 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and remaining in alignment to my leasing office while I'm working in the office. And the entity is heavily stalking directly using helicopters and sirens. That's audible activity, stalking in the path. They're doing so while I'm documenting the light source as I captured yesterday. And so I want you to recall the criminal pattern of conduct while I am inside of my bedroom, where I'm capturing the unnatural environment that is under no circumstances shared with the Ovid Family Community Library, which is where I was located on let me see, the 7th. Let me capture this light. Oh, okay, hold on. It's not a screen recording. It's a regular video. 6:05 in the afternoon.
Very exclusive. And the environment is demonic. The environment is literally...
Hold on 1 second. I want you to see.
Very exclusive. And the environment is demonic.
Okay, this does not... That is light activity, which I will show you, but first I want you to see the...
Mission against the whole population. The light source is directly over the windshield.
The light source is directly outside of my window, but I'm showing you can even see it through the windshield of all the vehicles that are parked in the parking lot. I'm in the same property. It's 11 o'clock outside of my leasing office. So again, before I show you this very compelling evidence again, this is where the entity is maintaining a light source outside of the window of my leasing office right here. And this is what I'm showing you at 11 when you're looking at it outside of this window. It's directly over my head. This is at 11:16 in the morning. Never mind the fact the body of evidence, the sun is never going to be over this property. There's a whole pre-existing body of evidence. That's what I'm showing you. It's happening on the same day, literally, in June 2022. June 16, 2022, there's a sun, supposedly. That's what those demons would contend, but they're going to have to combat the demons in Los Angeles who are being documented engaging in the same exact criminal system. And the proof of their demon possession while they engage in this demonic system that is under no circumstances the shared environment, the same environment, the natural environment ever. Okay, so this is 11. I'm at the same property, which is exactly what you're looking at here. Outside of my leasing office at 11. All right, yesterday while I'm inside of my apartment at 6, after 6 in the evening, my apartment, again, along the same, all I'm doing is looking outside of my bedroom apartment of the same property. The light source is directly over my head, and you know that because you could see it in the parking lot over the vehicles parked in the parking lot. It's not over Ovid Family Community Library where you're looking at it through the windshield of that demon that's reaching in his car to monitor me. All right, that's what you're looking at. The maintenance of a light source, not the sun. And this is the light source that you could see through the windshields of the vehicles parked on the same property where it's over my head right now as I'm capturing it, 11/12/44, where Carla Lopez is coming onto the grounds engaging in what is state terrorism in the workplace. That's a very expensive and serious crime. A lot of people are going to federal prison for it. The entity is maintaining this light source nonetheless.
Mission against the whole population. The light source is directly over the windshield. That's how you know that this is group stalking, and that's a psychopath that engages in taking such measures while they're targeting you. Another terrorist that's going to be rooted out, taken out of the country. All right?
Pay attention to the light activity that moves on the sidewalk in the shade while he's opening up a door under that which is not even the sun. It's not even the sun. That's not possibly the sun that's going to be over me. Again, not only is it at the same property where I am at right now, 11 o'clock, 12:44, it's over my head at the same office. The entity is maintaining a light source as though it's setting in an entirely different region where it's present at this location, by the way, as I arrive in the morning. That's what I documented on this day in the morning, where this so-called fair, where those that are affiliated with the Navy, those that are affiliated with claiming to do good for veterans, they're group stalking while the entity is engaging in terrorism, remaining over my head with a light source and with at 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? With a light source and stalking in helicopter, while a bunch of psychopaths are looking to the left and the right like they're do-gooders and they're engaging in state terrorism. It is the heights of malice. This is how you get a demon arriving in a UPS vehicle, literally providing evidence against that whole company, against every company owner, every board of director, every shareholder that are not ignorant about what UPS is engaging in, about what the workforce of UPS is engaging in. It's the state system in California. So this is the light source that's over the same property, visible outside of my bedroom
targeting
window.
you, another terrorist that's going to be rooted out, taken out of the
Engineer
country.
light while you're opening up your car door. That's not
You
sunlight.
saw the entity fly over by helicopter while engaging in surveillance,
And
sitting
doing
in
so
the
while
parking
LAPD
lot,
is flying
which
over.
is, by the way, at 1
Engineer
o'clock in
light,
the
audible
afternoon.
activity.
It's 6 in the
Engineer
evening.
light, audible
Engineer
activity.
light across the ground.
Monitoring while my voice is narrating their demonic system, and doing so while inside. This is 8:05 in the it's 6:05 in the evening, and this is also occurring while I am capturing, as I went to at lengths to document yesterday, the impossible light that's inside of my bedroom.
The environment is literally providing.
Hold on. The light source is outside of my window, and I captured an at-length video showing this, but this is just to show, this video only is focusing on the impossible light activity. Again, it's, first of all, it's not sunlight on its face. It's engineer light, prima facie of federal group stalking and monitoring. Secondly, as you can review, it's already captured. The full-length video that's captured at 6:05 is not shared with any environment in Ontario, California, where I'm capturing a sunset at 6:16 in the evening. All right, there's no sun that's going to be visible over me at both locations at the same time, literally down to the same day, as I give you very, very specific and detailed documentation showing what is an unmistakable pattern of conduct. This is not creating any light activity in my bedroom, on my ceiling, nor is there any photo shoot light activity that's going to occur. The entity is engaging in this, which is a sex offense inside of my apartment. Doing so while right now, the light source is over me in front of my leasing office, which is on the same property where I am downstairs from my apartment. 6:05 in the evening, there's no sun that's going to be visible through my living room window, nor is any sun going to create the light activity that you're about to see inside of my apartment, as I documented the same third party, which is the people of the state, speaker companies, and everybody living on the property owned by our top speaker are acting with the state, which is the pattern of conduct. That's why you have Carla Lopez engaging what is crossing path in the specific environment, knowledgeable about what's being exposed about him and everybody else, because you want to use your business to engage in that criminal conduct. That business you're going to lose. Also, that reputation of that business you are necessarily going to lose, because there are plenty around the world, not only in America, that will never support any Satan-serving or corrupt business that wants to target and surveil and criminally terrorize an American citizen. No one is going. There are many that will not support that. So, like I said, besides just draining the pockets, it needs to be known in the broad daylight. All right, what Satan is doing amongst companies in this country and outside of this country that are within the jurisdiction of the U.S. and they're monitoring, they're terrorizing American citizens with the state. All right, that's how you have employees in the workplace group stalking you.
And the environment is demonic. The environment is literally providing the evidence against the entity. And this is what the entity is going.
I have multiple shadows. This is on its face, the pattern of conduct, that's never sunlight. And this is occurring again, 6:05 p.m., as though at 12:44 is when you saw that light source. So as though at 11:16, you see it outside of my leasing office, and I'm on the same property where I work. As though the sun is going to be present at any position hours later, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hours later. And I also have the documentation of a sunrise, but let's just use what we have today, that the sun would ever be present in any position to be seen, number one, outside of my window, in alignment to my window, or creating any of this light activity inside of my apartment that's on the 3rd floor facing Alvarado Street. That's not sunlight, nor is that the sun. And this is also compared with what is the crime scene in Ontario, California. This is not creating any light activity inside of my apartment, nor is this in perfect alignment with my window in Los Angeles, California at 1806 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, California. All right, this is clear evidence of what is stalking, and this is where the entity is repeatedly communicating a threat by sounding helicopter activity, which is audible activity, while the demons are admitting to group stalking in the path, engaging in surveillance in that specific environment, knowledgeable about the criminal conduct that they are engaging in.
Be faced with in federal court, and I'm going to drain the pockets not only of speaker companies, not only is our Todd speaker and every group stalker employed by third-party speaker companies, they're going to federal prison. All right?
All right, so I want you to see that again. The moment that I utter federal prison, what do you hear? The moment that I begin talking about the impossible light activity, reviewing it on my phone, what do you hear? Helicopter activity. It's the same thing with the light activity. This is how an entity that is monitoring documentation that further engages in what is both a communication of a threat and admitting that they are aware of everything that's being documented about them. In other words, while the federal government, federal investigation, in other words, is underway, seeking to obstruct justice. Okay, that's
stalker employed by third-party speaker companies. They're going to federal prison. All right. They're going to be.
So just one more time. It doesn't hurt to show that light activity. This flashing light, like there's some photo shoot on the third floor of this apartment building where I live. And as though that is any iteration of the natural environment, in addition to what are the three shadows that are appearing on my ceiling.
Your companies, they're going to federal prison. All right? They're going to be prosecuted for what is, let me be clear, this engineered light is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing stalking by helicopters is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing admission by that entity while you see flashing directed light, this is the ongoing admission by a demon-possessed population who engages in more terrorism, more sexual violence, more stalking behavior as you expose it. Because
all right, that's the pattern of conduct that I documented yesterday, and just honing in on the light activity. This is 6/18 on June 10th, 2022, where I remain at 215 East C Street, and I'm documenting the state acting directly. This is the criminal pattern of conduct as opposed to what the corrupt government wants to be the focus. Focus on what I'm doing, focus on the fact that I'm wearing a badge, focus on the fact that the people of the state are engaged in lawful, peaceful conduct, and we're just maintaining the peace because they've got an event going on over here. No, I'm here at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're stalking in relevant position in the unnatural environment, and the sun would not be present over the same exact sky space over my head at what is 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's 8 hours later from where I'm at the same location at 10 in the morning. In addition to that, I'm waking up, let me be clear, Ovid Family Community Library from the Ontario Museum where I'm waking up in the morning. It's literally across the same street. It's not going in any direction, east or west. It's going north to be over my head as I wake up at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. I walk literally up a block, not even a quarter of a mile to get to the Ovid Family Community Library where I'm showing you a sunset after 6 p.m. All right, and none of that is in conformity to what I'm documenting here while the entity is maintaining a light source over the Ovid Family Community. This is the same parking garage at 10:29 on June 16th. The light source is over me at 10:29 in the morning. It's 5:55 p.m. on this day in 2022. The entity engages in kidnapping, criminally defaming, group stalking right in your face, exhibiting demon possession right in your face. You're just ignorant about what you're looking at and the ways in which the entity is engaging what is group stalking, and also federal stalking using communication devices. It is currently 1:26 p.m. Carla Lopez is engaging in what is audible activity creation, communicating a threat. Let me be clear, that's the state that's stalking in helicopters, acting via and in concert with the people of the state who are including in the workplace, engaging in what is the elements of monitoring. Walking in the office is analogous. It's the same thing as sounding helicopter activity. One is the state acting directly. The other is the state acting vicariously, which is what Carla Lopez represents in the unnatural environment amongst the engineered light. While that same pattern of conduct is underway, as I give you an ongoing level ability to juxtapose what are crime scenes. The same crime scene, wherever it is, in other words, wherever it is that I'm at, that's exactly where the entity is group stalking. So it's 1:26 p.m. I'm going to list here the ongoing engagement. This video is 1 hour and 30 minutes, so I'm going to end it right now. So that's approximately 12 as I am starting this video a little bit before 12, and the entity sounding helicopter activity 4 times. And that's why I list what I list every time you're hearing, because it's a criminal act. The entity is communicating a threat. They're already stalking right now while you don't hear helicopter. As I engage in what is something that the entity is hostile to, exposing it, and it's psychotic. Not only what you're doing is known, but your pattern. Your whole code of conduct is exposed, and the entity continues to do that. So that is speaking to the mental illness. And mental illness is already brought into question by virtue of being a group stalker. No normal person, no sane person is group stalking, period. Okay? It is 1:27 p.m. and this is P.O.C.